Hey everybody, so a friend of mine asked me about the three main dietary discoveries or changes I've ever made that simultaneously upgraded health and improved ability to build muscle mass. So, I had to think about this a little bit because there's been a lot of them, but I tried to narrow it down to three categories that I think would be of a lot of utility and use to a lot of people in the world out there. Um, my first one would be food combination science, which is one of the lesser known sciences because there's no money agendas behind it for anybody. So there's not a lot of research in it. But the way the pancreas and the digestive organs and enzymes in the body work, and nobody knows this, you'll know nobody knows this when you start to understand it and realize that like every traditional food dish in the world violates how the body works. And I don't mean to be a downer on everybody's fun. I'm just talking some actual science here that helped me a great deal to come to understand. And that is the pancreas, for example, when you put food in your stomach, if you're putting carbs and proteins and fats in there at the same time, for one thing, that's a metabolic spillover disaster. But let's just talk about the enzymes. Um, when you put, okay, we'll take a traditional thing a lot of people eat meat and potatoes, right? I don't eat, I'm a vegetarian myself, but um, so you and maybe you are too. So like you could substitute any heavy protein food mixed with a carb food. And everybody thinks, oh, it's the best thing, because the carbs and the insulin and the protein shuttling and this and that. Now, as far as just gaining mass faster, yeah, that's kind of a way to do it. But here's what really goes on in the body. The pancreas will release digestive enzymes designed to go after the easier food. So, in the vast majority of cases, you're going to digest the carb or the starchy type food in that combination for the most part. You're not going to digest near as much of that heavy protein as you think you do. And then what happens to it? It goes into your gut and it gets like encased on your gut lining, and you have an apocalyptic worldwide mess of destroyed digestive systems. And you do. If you don't believe me, look into statistics and get to know some things about people and their digestive tract. It's kind of a nightmare, and it's ignorance. So that category in and of itself, if you want to look into it, it's huge. Vince Gironda was a bit into it. He was ahead of his time on that, and he would have his clients eat their heavy protein meals with oils and fats. He said, when you combine those things, it's fine. The fatty acid, you need healthy fatty acids in your life. So if you combine it with proteins, the body tends to digest that pretty well. Those things work well together, and he would have them do any carb meals separate. Okay, so you're separating out these meals for different times of the day to get the best out of all of them without toxifying and clogging up and messing up your health in your digestive tract. The breakdown of most people starts in the digestive tract, the ruining of the immune system, metabolic damage, and then all kinds of weird fungus, mold, parasites. And don't kid yourself, even in what they call first world countries, parasites are incredibly common. Probably at least 95% of people have them. If you don't believe me, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, if you think you can handle facing the truth and doing something about it, go right ahead. I highly recommend it. Um, the next big category, I would say, when it comes to building muscle mass, I find that forms of intermittent fasting can really help because it actually slows down your metabolism, makes it more efficient. And then when you do, if you're like me and you can actually eat a lot at one time, especially if you know about food combination science, or if you don't, you could add a lot of digestive enzymes and this would work. Um, Intermittent fasting like primes your body to have a slower, more anabolic nature. Okay, you don't. When your metabolism slows down, it's actually a lot easier to gain mass. You can gain more from what you eat. Plus, you're giving your system hours of rest to strengthen its digestive energies before they're used again, instead of overusing and abusing them all the time. So that's a big one. Using some sort of intermittent fasting if you're able to digest a lot in 1 or 2 meals a day, you can actually gain more muscle mass. Maybe some extra body fat, although the data goes every which way on that. And I wouldn't worry about it. I think actually by giving yourself fasting time, your body learns to do everything more efficiently, including burn off fat during those fasting hours. So, and some would say, no, that's all just glycogen because you're not, without carbs for days to go into keto. Look, even when you're burning glycogen, you're burning fat along with it. They never burn just one or the other. That's kind of a misunderstanding that comes from reading jaded research, I think. But uh, I believe that you get a lot of bang for your buck with muscle mass gains. If you see it spilling over and you're getting fat, change what you're eating in your eating window. And intermittent fasting is a very flexible tool with a lot of utility. It can be used a lot of different ways. And it generally improves health, digestion, and anabolic processes. Okay? So that's number 2 for me. And number 3, I hope I'm not violating the premise of this video by saying, but really the third most important category that made the most difference for me, gaining mass. It made all food and all supplements work much better. Things that I thought didn't work in the past started working, and that was, and I know on some of my past canceled channels you guys have heard me redo this theme many, many times, even in detail, but deep detox down to the cellular level. Now, yes, you may actually lose some mass during that process, but it's all junk mass anyway. And then when you have a clean system, the things you put in it, they work a whole lot better. Most people don't realize the wisdom in that or necessarily have the maturity to set aside time and focus to go through true deep detox, which is honestly, sometimes it's really rough. And you actually, as toxic as a lot of people are now in society, I have to throw this in here just to be responsible. You could die from something like a Herxheimer reaction if you go into deep enough detox fast enough and hard enough and you've never done it before. That said, even a good detox that you'll live through, there's going to be stages where it's rough and you're going to feel worse before you feel better. There's a fine line between detoxing well and going through the misery of it and going too far, where you can actually overload your system with how many toxins are coming out of places they've been stuck in the body. At the same time, they're all hitting the bloodstream and they start poisoning other systems because your body can't get it out fast enough. And, I have protocols for that, life-saving deep detox protocols, but that's a different video. You have to get all the trash out of your cells that's stuck inside of them so you can make room and you can clear up the doorways and the hallways and make room to take in things and build and grow again.